What's up, entrepreneurs? It's Lamika here with the Real About Entrepreneurship. But today we are on the Fruition Factor podcast, and I got one of my homies. I got somebody that keeps me together. She tell me when I ain't doing it right, and she ain't got no problem telling me when I do it right, and I receive it. So today we're going to be talking to Twyla Burkhalter Dunn, and we are talking about our relationships with money affect what happens in our business. So welcome, Twyla. What's up? How you doing?
Hey, Lamika. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited and nervous at the same time, but I'm going to try to relax, just have a conversation like I normally do.
I know, right? Because me and you cut up, so that makes two of
Yeah.
us. I'm trying to make sure I stay in my natural element, but still, do what I'm supposed to do.
Yes.
Um, so we're gonna get right into it. So we have had these conversations for years, and Twyla has been a part of my ups and downs with High Goddess. And so I wanted to have her on because I know for me, and I've said this to Twyla, is that a big part of things that I think I could have done better was to embrace my numbers more. And so I know that's something that a lot of entrepreneurs, I struggled with. So this is why I wanted to have it on. So tell us about, what does that look like? How does our relationship with money affect our business?
Well, I see it with a lot of entrepreneurs. So, a little bit about me, I'm an accountant. So, I have my own accounting firm. So, I work with small businesses and not always at startup stages, but they're starting to grow. They're starting to have some growing pains. So, then they seek out an accountant and they find me. And the first thing I normally do, I kind of call myself a therapist, is I gauge how my clients feel about money, because that's going to affect your business. And when I say how they feel about money, we all grow up with different mentalities about money. If we grew up in poverty, then we have a scarcity mindset where, we're like, oh, we're going to run out of money, or there's not enough money in the world, or I'm broke and, living pillar to post. And then you have some people who did not live. So you have the other end of the spectrum who they lived pretty well off, and or they didn't ever have to worry about money, so they kind of just are out there like money just never ends. It's just going to keep coming. I'm going to keep spending. It's going to, some kind of way, it'll work out. So we have two ends of the spectrum, and we kind of need to get in the middle. From an accountant's perspective, is I want my clients to be in the middle of that, where we're thinking about tomorrow, but we're also not making decisions based on poverty mindsets or scarcity, because that can stifle your business, or you won't make the investments when you need to because you're scared. It's fear based.
Right.
So that's kind of, how I look at clients and I get to know them. And I really, I can tell once I have my first conversation with someone how they feel about money. I have a client that's like, I'll just go get bank loans. They're debt. They love debt. They're going straight to loans, or I have the ones that are, I just don't want to go bankrupt. So I'm like, oh Lord, here we go. So that's when I really hone in and I tell clients, how did you grow up? How do you feel about money? And even in religious sectors, I see it sometimes, where I just heard the other day, my client had said, well, the root of all evil is money. And I'm like, that's not true.
Not true at all.
At all. So I'm like, oh Lord, if they feel that way, then they don't really want to make money. They just want to get by. So they stifle their growth. So relationship with money is very, very important when you're becoming an entrepreneur. And it's just some questions to ask yourself, like, how do you feel about money? Or, I'm not going to say anything, but some people are, stick their head in the ground. They don't want to think about money. They're just, I love my business. I want to do my business and let's see what happens. And then when they can't pay their bills or they can't pay their taxes, then they have a, issue. So I really challenge my clients to, let's talk about it. Let's think about it. How do you feel about it? And be honest with yourself. That's the first thing. Just be honest with yourself. And I think Lamika and I talked last week, but my number one thing, that I always ask clients is, do they look at their bank account? And you would be surprised that some people don't. They don't. So you honestly just look at your, and I'm not saying you check your balance. That's not what I'm asking. I'm asking, do you look in your bank account and see where your money is going? So that's really important to do, is just look at it. I mean, it sounds simple, but you'll be surprised.
Right. So, okay, so for somebody, okay, I know, thankfully for me, I got to grow up and grow into this business with Twyla. Okay. So she's not taking on new clients. But in order for someone to come to you in the right way, what should they be doing when they first start their business so that it's not a mess when they've grown the business and then they're coming to you?
Okay. So I would say the first thing, or the biggest thing that I see when I get new and startups, is commingling. They're operating out of their personal bank account, out of their personal credit card. So we're trying to figure out what's business and what's personal. So the first thing is you need to separate. You need to separate your business. And what I recommend is to bank. I know everybody, has their choices in banking, but normally with a bigger bank like a Chase or Wells Fargo or Bank of America, you can link your personal and your business account. So I would tell them, hey, let's run through the business. So you could always make transfers to your personal account to take care of personal expenses, but we need this business account just to be for business only. So I would say separate your business and personal. That's the number one thing that I kind of have to battle when I first get, a new entrepreneur, a new client, or a new business. And I get it.
Mm-hmm.
I know when you first start up, you're just trying to make it. You don't always have the time to make a transfer.
Mm-hmm.
But when you have somebody, me, come in, I'm like, okay, what is this, business or personal? And if the IRS comes in, they're going to automatically just say personal. So we know when Mr. Uncle Sam, as some people say, come in, they don't care. They're like, it's personal. You're using your personal account. It's personal expenses. So you want those write-offs. So number one thing is open a business account. And here's the other thing. Once you get the business account, don't live out of the business account. And I see that a lot. Meals, nail shops, shopping.
I mean, but that's a whole part of like what I do, okay? What we doing?
Yeah, for high goddess somewhat, right? But yeah, but we still got to justify that. We still got to justify those charges. So make sure it's clear, what you're doing, and documenting what you're doing. Now, as far as software, when you first start out, and I know QuickBooks, or somebody may hate me for saying that, but I don't recommend QuickBooks, because normally if I get a QuickBooks file from somebody who just started, it's a mess. Mm-hmm. So then I have to spend time just cleaning it up for me to go forward. There's other avenues out there that I've seen, apps that you can use to track expenses. You can just, if you're running everything through the business account, then I can do your financials just from your business bank statements. Okay. And again, there's software that I can throw your bank statements into a software and it shoots me out a nice little file. Or, it's AI components. It's software is smart now. We don't, mm-hmm. It used to be old school where I had to go through all the transactions, but now, thank God, there's software out there that will convert those bank statements for me to get the information that I need. So I don't highly recommend QuickBooks if you don't know how to use it. If you want to use it, QuickBooks has great tutorials in there. But still, there's a certain element that you have to be an accountant to set it up, so where things go. Mm-hmm. So I'm kind of apprehensive when I get a file that's already.
So what software would you recommend for someone that is, because I know that was one of my challenges when I first started. Like I went through so many bookkeepers when I first started, and just trying to set it up because I was obviously with High Goddess, I was manufacturing from a raw goods standpoint, and I had the different components. So that for me was challenging. So like what system do you recommend, and is it dependent on the industry that you're in for which system may be better?
If you're ready, first of all, you have to determine, are you a do-it-yourself person? If you know that numbers is not your thing and you're not going to be committed to touching that software once a week, I would tell you don't get a software. Just make sure you're running everything through your business account. And then when you go to your accountant, they have your history through your business account. Now, if you're ready for a software, I know a couple that I've seen out there. I don't know if Mint is still around, but that's a smaller version. And then they have Pocket Smith is one. It's a little more complicated. And
But
then
but hearing you say to, as long as you're running everything through your business account,
business,
and
yeah,
that makes me feel so much better knowing that I don't have to worry about a software, because I felt like I wasn't doing it right because I didn't have a software and everybody was telling me, oh, you need, such and such. And I
yeah.
feel like I
And if you're
wasn't doing
not,
it right.
and if you're not an accountant, you're just messing it up. I mean, it's just going to cost you more money in the end for me to fix it. So if you want to get a software and try it, go ahead. But if I have to fix it, and sometimes I'd rather just start over, just be honest. So it's really up to you, and being honest with yourself. If that's
Mhm.
not something that then, and there's bookkeeping apps out there. So Bench is one of them.
Mhm.
You can just Google a bookkeeping service. But here's the thing, they may put you in QuickBooks, but you're still going to have to give them a lot of the information,
Mhm.
but they'll set it up right. And then once, like if you come to me, and I have bookkeepers that I contract out to, we'll set things up. But now QuickBooks and other software, Zero, have come a long way, but we can memorize transactions because whether we like it or not, humans are creatures of habit.
Mhm.
So normally what my clients do every month is the same, literally, or the same vendors they use. So I
Mhm.
know if they're using this vendor, if they're buying from Amazon or whatever they're doing, I know where those expenses go. So we can set up rules in QuickBooks that gets them started with that. But so if you're going to do it yourself and you're going to do a QuickBooks file, I would go ahead and tell you to find an accountant, at least set it up for you correctly,
Mhm.
and then they can train you on how to categorize transactions. But in the end, I don't think most entrepreneurs really know how to maintain a balance sheet, maintain their cash flow, maintain even a profit and loss statement. I mean, I've seen it where accounts are set up, an expense account is set up in a bank as a bank account, so I've seen it. So, and you're laughing, but I'm just telling you, it
No,
happens.
I'm laughing because I'm probably that person.
No.
Because the thing, I think the challenge sometimes becomes from, as an entrepreneur, I'm good at, I wanted to start this business for one thing, but there are so many other components to it in order for me to do this. Because I tell people all the time, all I want to do is create a pair of jeans. I didn't want to do all this other stuff. I didn't want to have social media. I don't want to do these. I don't want to do these books.
Yeah.
I don't want to do none of this other stuff. But it's what comes with it, and a lot of times most people are not proficient, and I know a lot of times it made me feel like I didn't know what I was doing,
Mhm.
or I was hindering my success.
Right.
um
And then
so
until you get to a banking, then you're like, oh, I want to get a loan, and then you're gonna need an accountant. And I believe this is out in most startup. If you Google how to start a business or you go to a state website and how to start a business, it tells you, you need a good lawyer, you need an accountant, and you need some marketing. But realistically speaking, when you first start out, you may not can afford a lawyer, an accountant, and a marketing specialist. So you kind of grow into that.
mhm.
So I kind of tell people, but you need an accountant is not the same thing as somebody that do your taxes. You know what I mean?
Right,
Because
right.
I do taxes too for some people, but it has nothing to do with the accounting that I do for entrepreneurs.
Mhm.
And really, as I've grown, I'm starting to educate my clients on how valuable I am to their business. And normally, most clients in startup, which is why I'm not taking on any more new startups, is that they don't value me, which means I can't charge you for the value of me in
Right.
the beginning, because it's not personal. They're just trying to get their business going. They're like, I got
Mhm.
to make some money first. I love to pay you, Twyla, but I got to make
Right.
money. I'm trying to get my idea together and make money. And I get it, but a lot of times I come behind and I said, I'm coming with my little pooper scooper and I'm cleaning up the mess. And I wish people would kind of seek some advice. And here's the thing, I'm not taking on clients as far as, monthly clients, but you can always book a call with me, a consultation call, or I can give you some advice to get you
Mhm.
started and to get you on the way. And most time I do with my clients, I have clients that I don't talk to monthly. They'll call me when they need me, and I can advise them on what's going on, and I'm checking in with them as well
Mhm.
throughout the year. but also at the same time, I'm not going to chase you down. It has to be important to you.
Right.
You're going to have to seek me out. I'm here. I have a calendar, schedule a call with me, and I love to spend time with you and talk to you about it. But you have to understand how important that is, because having an accountant is going to affect your growth when you want to try to get some money, banking, or even if you try to get grants, you're going to need financials. Um, a contract, you're going to need financials. So you're going to need an accountant at some point, and you need to find that accountant. And like in anything with doctors, anything now, I tell people interview different accountants, because we're not all the same.
No.
We all work in different things. And, I know sometimes a client, when I first started as well as an entrepreneur, I was taking on whoever would use me.
Right.
And then I learned real quick, I am not for everybody, and everybody's not for me, So I learned the hard way.
But Lamika is staying. She cannot shake her off. Okay.
We cool. But I recognize that now, and I've been doing this 20 years now. So now I recognize it when a client comes like, oh, they're not for me. And here's where it starts with that relationship with money. If I have a client that comes to me and they don't have a bank account, you probably not gonna be the client for me. So, and you can, like, how do people operate without a bank account? You would be surprised, or you're operating out of Cash App, and that's it. That is not going to work for me.
Yes. And that happens a lot, is because I will, from in my mobile home business, I will go to pay a contractor, and contractors are notorious for this. Yes. Is they want you to send them the money via Zelle or Cash App. And I definitely don't do Cash App, but a lot of them want you to do Zelle. And I'm like, I'm a business. I can't send you the money, because that's meant to be from person to person. Right. And so a lot of them don't realize that. And then that lets me know, oh, okay, then you just out here just doing everything. Exactly. And so that becomes a challenge. Okay.
So normally somebody's asking for Zelle. That is like a red flag for me too, because, and look, I offer Zelle as well.
But you do personal taxes though.
But I do personal taxes, and it's a convenience. But also, thank God, I have Wells Fargo, and I'm able to connect my personal and business. So anytime any money comes to my Zelle, I automatically send it to my business account right then. And I can Zelle out of my business account now. They give you that, and I like Zelle because they don't charge you any fees. But I'm sure that will not continue as people start using it more and more. So I try to invoice, I try to do contracts now. But if I'm doing a personal return and they just Zelling me, because I don't get checks, nobody does checks anymore. So it's fine, So that is okay if somebody's paying me, because I am keeping up with my records. But if it's like you, a contractor, and remember, if you pay somebody over $600, this is a gem. Please, everybody listen. If you pay somebody over $600, before you give them any money, have them complete a W-9. And a W-9 is a form that gets their information, so you can report to the IRS that, hey, I paid ABC company $5,000, so I can write it off in my business. Because, the IRS is tracking. We know that too. But they can come back and disallow those expenses because you didn't 1099 that contractor. And they can say, oh, that wasn't business. That was your friend. If you do not, And listen, don't get guilty, because it happens to big businesses. I see it all the time where they're not getting W-9s. So when I get ready to do 1099s, these people are long and gone.
Yes.
I can't 1099 them. If I call them and say, hey, let me have your social so I can see your 1099, they click.
Like, I got my money, I'm not doing that.
Right, click, that's it. So after the fact, it's not good. It's before you pay them, give them a W-9. And here's the other thing: if they want to get paid, they got to complete that W-9. So normally they're going to complete that W-9, and they know it. So you got those W-9s are so important to pay before you pay anybody any money, even Zelle, even Cash App, PayPal, all those other methods, Venmo, all those methods that I hate. And just for the record, I hate Venmo. So if you use Venmo, I do not, because it doesn't give you any detail. I hate Venmo. I just hate Venmo, but that's just my sideline plug for the day of I hate Venmo.
So we talked about if you're starting a business and before you get into that growth mode, because at this point you just blowing and going.
Right.
But so in order to come to you at that point when somebody's ready to work with you, somebody like you, they need to have not commingling their funds,
Business account.
and
Running
business they
everything
need to
through the
have a
business
business
account.
they need to have a business account. And then the other thing I think you said was, we talked about the software. As long as you are running everything through the business account, it doesn't so much matter that whether you have
Yeah.
the software or not. And then also, if you're paying somebody $600 or more, making sure they fill out the
The W.
W-9. Now, what happened if you ain't had them fill out the W-9? Because I'm asking for myself.
Well, if you don't have their social security number, you can't issue them a 1099. So you, in potential, you can't write that off as a deduction. So in theory, now some people will do it, and there's other ways to go around it. But what I've noticed, and it happens a lot, in January when I'm doing 1099s in January, I'm like, hey, normally, like I said, people are creatures of habit, so they've used the same person over and over and over again. So let's just say, hypothetically speaking, you have a guy that is cutting your grass for your rental properties. And that guy may not have a social, and it happens a lot. So you're like, what do I do with him? I'm paying such and such, money every month, over $600 over the year to cut my grass. Can I still take that deduction? Well, I'm going to say, yeah, we'll take the deduction, but we need him to try to get an I-10 number because he's self-employed and get an I-10 number. So recommend he get an I-10. And we can still complete a 1099 without all the information, but it's not recommended. But I'm like, I'll slap your hand with a ruler and say, hey, you got to get a W-9 on this guy to deduct this charge, because here's what can happen long term. Let's say we write it off and we take the risk and IRS audits us. If we can't prove that that's a real vendor that we sent to, they will disallow that deduction. And so in theory, you're going to have to pay the taxes on the money you paid somebody else. Okay. So if you're okay with paying taxes on people that you've paid, then that's your choice. But normally we don't want to do that. So I'll just have them make sure you write receipts. You need some documentation. You just the more you have, the better. And here, if normally what I'm seeing, like I said, I see now is Zelle. They're Zelling people, for yard work and things like that. So
we love the dogs. It's all good, I just got mine. Mine don't live with me, so we good. We okay with the dogs.
And it happens every time I get on a call. And I thought we were done because normally it's at lunchtime, like 12. And when I put them, I was like, "Don't you bark today." And I'm like, I looked at like, I know you're gonna bark. I know you're gonna bark. No, we won't even know I had a dog. Then here they
that just let us know it's real life. It's real life. Okay, so for somebody, so let's talk about then the type of clients that you do want. What type of clients do you want?
So, and here's the other thing: make sure, and when you're running, like, just to come back on those people that are not ready for an accountant yet, or they're not ready to pay for an accountant. Make sure you're paying all your bills, your business bills, through those business account. And please, I reiterate, do not put those personal expenses through those business account. Just transfer the money out to yourself pay it out of your personal account. You can take money out of it's your business. You can take money out and pay your person, because in theory, it's still a payment to yourself because it's paying a personal bill. So make sure you're doing that. So that's it. So the people that I'm taking on, I'm really shifting my business. So there's actually three sides of my business. The first side, which I don't do a lot of, but I will do, is representation. Meaning, if you get in trouble with the IRS and you have audits or you have issues or liens or paying, you need a balance, I am helping clients with that.
She good, y'all. She good.
Not all the time.
She good, y'all.
I'm not that person that you can see on TV that says, pennies on the dollar, to settle with IRS and all that kind of stuff. So I'll have to look at your situation, and I'm honest. Those companies out there that do that, they'll take your money and then still not help you. I'm honest with you from the beginning and let you know if I can help you or not. Or tell you, this is where we're at, this is what's going on. And sometimes you just need me to hold your hand because you're scared of the IRS. And I'm not. They work with you. They got rules they got to live by. So it's fine. And then the second part of my business is actually tax preparation. So I prepare individual tax returns, not only whether you have a business or not, but I am shifting my clients for individual tax preparation to if they have a small business that they're not ready for a full accountant, or if they have rental property or investments, if they are trading or something like that. Those are my main kind of clients that I'm moving to. Uh, my services are to keep up with the industry and to keep up with my education. My fees are going up, so there's a lot of resources out there for people to have simple tax returns that they can use a TurboTax or another software, and I'll be sending out links for some of my clients to use. Like, I would love to help you, but you can really nowadays, like I'm saying, software has come a long way. You can take a picture of your W-2 and it enters all that information for you.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, it's just come a long way. So I'm getting away from those type of clients, but I'm still here if you need me, if you have a question or things like that. Um, so that's my tax prep, and it also leads into tax planning. So I'm doing a lot of tax planning now, meaning you're not at the end of the year, you're not surprised with a tax bill or you have changes. And I have a lot of what I call them high W-2 earners, meaning that their W-2s are in excess of 150,000 or more. And if they're married, they have two of those kind of incomes, and they are getting hit the hardest. So I really, hone in on them and see what we can do to help, if there's any help, or just explain to them why they owe so much. Here's why. Like, I'm killing myself. And here's the thing: as I'm seeing people as they earn more money, 100,000 is not what 100,000 used to be.
At all.
At all. So we all know that. We used to always, I want to make six figures, and now it's like, I make six figures, I'm still broke. So,
that part.
and that comes back to relationship with money. We'll come back to that in a minute. But really thinking about when you get a raise. Hypothetically, I had a client call me the other day, and they got a raise, and their base went up to 250. So they're like, well, how much do I need to take out in taxes? I'm like, well, you're in a whole nother tax bracket now. So hello, tax bracket. And then, when they see how much is coming out of their check, it hurts. They're like, oh my God. But it's still going to net them more than what they were making. So it's not like we're going to say no to the money, but it's been really aware of how much you're paying in taxes, where we can save money in taxes, where we can defer some income if you don't need it, and those kind of things. And here's the thing, what I noticed, which comes back to relationship with money. It really doesn't matter how much money you make. I notice for people, I've been doing taxes for 20 years. And if your relationship with money is you're not paying attention to it, if you're making 50,000, whether you're making 50,000 or you're making 200,000, you're still going to be broke.
That part.
I'm just going to be honest with you, because you're not paying attention to your money. And look, I'm talking to myself. I had to get to a place in my life where, okay, when I was making $40,000 a year way back in the day, I was making it. Why I can't make it when I'm at 150? What is the problem here? And so what I notice is people, as we make more money, we feel like we want to have other things. But if we don't take care of some of those basic habits and when you're making 40,000, they're not going to be there when you're making 200 and 300,000. And I tell my clients all the time, it does not matter how much money you make. And I use this as an example. I have a great client, and they barely together, it's a husband and wife, make $40,000 a year. And I have watched them over the years now almost pay off their house in less than 15 years.
Wow.
And I'm like, what are they doing? So
because I'm always like, how people have kids? Yeah, and I don't how they pay for this, and I don't even have none. And what we doing?
Right, that part. Oh, don't even get me started on children. And let me say that about children too. So I notice with my clients, they justify a lot of things, with their kids. And here's the thing, and I'm like, I love your children. I love my child, but please be honest with your spending, because we like to take care of our children. We like to do things, but it's not necessary.
Mhm.
And you need to make some goals first, so in my life I have savings goals, I have investing goals, and then I have spending goals. So that doesn't let me get all willy-nilly with spending, because we
Mhm.
we all can spend money. We don't have a problem with that, but we have problems saving and we have problems investing. And if we
Mhm.
put those two first, it'll deter our money away from just spending. And I think I used this as an example last week. I told you I was going to use it on our podcast. Is that, I like to think I'm kind of pretty good on the financial side sometimes, most of the time. But just last week, I'm on my way to the dentist office. I'm having anxiety. I don't want to go to the dentist, whatever. And I am literally driving, don't tell anybody, and on my phone, and I'm on Instagram. And we all know Instagram, whether we're thinking about it or we thought about it 3 weeks ago, it shows up on Instagram. And I saw these shades and I was like, oh, those are so cute. On Instagram, I was able, while driving to the dentist, order these shades, sunglasses, and got free shipping, got a 10% off or whatever. I don't know what it was. And it ended up being $50 for some shades. And after I hit, process payment, shipping, all that, I was like, what did I do? Why did I just buy those glasses? And here's the thing, they were cute and everything, and it's $50. I wasn't really thinking about it. But here's the thing with me, I wear glasses. I cannot see without my glasses. What do I need some shades for? Um, so it really made me, like, it was just a compulsive purchase, and it was
Mhm.
cute. And that adds up. Those compulsive purchases add, even if they're $10, and Amazon is great. It's $13. And like people say, Amazon show up every day and it's $13. It's $10. And they make it so easy and
Mhm.
convenient. But
Mhm.
those $13 purchases add up. And I know people don't understand that, but I tell people to put themselves on a budget for Amazon. I'm not saying, just with a diet, go cold turkey, but just
Right.
put yourself on a budget and be aware of your spending. And people don't, like I said, they don't look at their bank statement. If you go back and add up what you spent in a year at Amazon, you would be very surprised. And
Mhm.
some people are not going to do it because they mad at themselves.
But
And
they
I'm
keep doing it though. That's the so
right.
yeah, that's how I am. I go, wait a minute, you not getting ready to keep telling me you're doing this and you don't want to do it. So in that sense, what I find is that a lot of times, like when I'm really focused, I am really focused. And
Yeah.
when I'm not, I am not.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So I have tried to figure out I've had to figure out what that happy medium is because you know I have I look back at all the money that I've spent and the money that I've spent to build High Goddess, and I'm like, oh my god, like OMG,
Right.
I have spent that amount of money.
Mhm.
And the challenge becomes like not repeating that. And like I was saying, I got myself out of debt this time.
Yeah.
I'm not doing it no more. Okay. I am not doing it anymore. So I finally, that relationship with money has changed because my whole thought process was, it'll come. Like I
Mhm.
didn't grow up poor and I didn't grow up rich, but I grew up getting whatever it was that I wanted. You know what I mean? I didn't grow up with a lack. And so
Yeah.
sometimes I see that show up in the fact that I think, oh, money will just come. Like, I mean, I thought, I had this idea and the money just gonna come
Yeah.
for it, or
Yeah.
whatever.
I
So that
figured it
becomes
out.
a challenge. Yeah,
Yeah.
I figure it out.
I
So
figured it
that,
out.
yeah,
Yeah.
that definitely becomes a challenge. But that's good to know that you as the professional also have to have this thought process with yourself, because I think a lot of times for me, I'm like, oh, they got it together, they
Yeah.
the professional. And
No. But I have a sense to be aware of it.
mhm,
So right
mhm,
in that moment, right when I clicked, I was like, oh no, I did it again. And here's one of the things that I do to prevent that is that compulsiveness is all, comes from emotion. And
mhm,
um I normally I'm a person that will sleep on something. So if I want to buy something, I'll wait, I'll put it in a cart, and I'll come back the next day and see if I still want it. And most of the time I'll forget about it or
mhm,
say, I don't really need that. So it's
mhm,
not the compulsive, it's feeding that little addiction. It's all about addiction, and we talked about this. Our whole life has mental things, like I said, how we grew up, how we feel about things.
Mhm.
And I believe everybody has a little bit of addiction, or the capability of being addicted
Mhm.
to things.
Mhm.
And it's controlling that. And it's not always just bad addictions or driving, or it could be just being addicted to being a couch potato and watching Netflix, and where you could have been spending that time doing something else. And we have to control those behaviors. But first, you got to be aware of them, that you
Mhm.
have them, and don't beat yourself up, because it's natural. It's a natural thing. And then when you have society coming in like Instagram, reading your thoughts literally, it's hard to say no. And I really bring it back to one of my really close uncles was dealing with addiction, and I'll never forget. He told me, um, and I have other people that deal with addiction, that the addiction does not go away. That taste for whatever it
Mhm.
is that you want does not go away. You just have to make a choice every day to say no,
Mhm.
and that's the hard part.
Mhm.
Thankfully,
Absolutely.
if you're on a drug addiction, saying yes one day can lead you
And-
down the road. But at
Right.
least with shopping or whatever it is, you can at least start over. Okay, I messed up. I won't do that
Oh, you can
again.
send them sunglasses back.
Oh, you can send them back. I didn't send them back yet. They're sitting on my desk, and I'm looking at them like
Why?
to
Why we ain't send them
remind
back?
myself. Why did you do that? And they're sitting on my desk, just sitting there looking at me. I'm like,
How
oh,
about you remind yourself with a credit and you done printed it out and you
yes.
say, "Look, don't
Yes.
do this no
Amazon
more."
makes it easy. This vendor is a little bit different to
I feel you.
return
I feel
things.
you. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But Amazon is real good about returning things.
Okay.
That's really good. And hey, look, it's just like back in the day, people would go shopping and do the returns the next day, or wear the dress with the tags on it. Don't get me
Hmm.
started, and then
Yeah.
just return it the next day. It's the
Right.
same thing we're doing with Amazon, but it's also making some being really aware of your budgets. And I know a
Hmm.
lot of people don't do that. And I had
Hmm.
a client come to me and it's like, we're talking about our taxes, because when I'm talking about somebody's tax return, I'm in there. I know your business. I
All
know
of it.
I know how much money you make. I know about your insurance. I know your 401k. I know your marital status. I know your children. I know how much house you have. So I know a lot about you. And I don't judge, because, I don't really care at the end of the day. It's your life.
But then it goes back to what you said, even if some people are sensitive to that, you have someone that, let's say, making $40,000, but they're able to do more with that than someone that's making
600.
204, yeah,
600.
$600,000
Yeah.
because of the fact of the relationship with the money.
With the relationship with money, yes. And they respect it, and they honor it, and the number one thing is just pay attention to it. I challenge you, just go through your bank statement
Mhm.
and look at all those subscriptions and streaming services and Amazon purchases and eating out, and just add it up.
Mhm.
And then when you're like, well, I ain't got no money. And then here's the big thing I hear, and listen, I'm gonna get real with people, and I'm not judging, is there's a lot of what we call overdraft. I call them overdraft king and queen. And what happens is that we have these great banks that will allow you to overdraft your account for a fee, but they will pay for you to overspend.
Mhm.
And I'm not gonna say that's a horrible thing, but it can be abusive. And I've seen it. I've seen it become abusive because you overspend, the bank pays for it, you start yourself in the hole whenever you get paid again, and you're on this never-ending cycle.
Mhm.
But here's the other part of it. I challenge you to go add up how much you paid the bank in overdraft fees.
Mhm.
And then when you want a down payment for something, or you need some money, or you short or whatever, look how much money you're paying the bank. And that's what the bank do it. They making plenty of money
Plenty of
on
money.
overdraft fees.
Plenty of money. What broke me was in college. My
Yeah,
mama said, "Girl, you just paid $50 for a hamburger. Do you realize
right.
you just paid $50 for him? Did you really need the
Yes,
hamburger?" And well,
yes,
technically, she paid $50. My mom and daddy paid $50 on the hamburger. But
right,
I was out here.
right.
But once I realized that, I was like, "Oh yeah, no, I can't. I'm gonna just have to wait."
Exactly. And you won't die. You will
Right.
not die. So when I see that happening, because I see it, and again, I'm not judging anybody, and I get it. Sometimes you trying to make it,
Mm-hmm.
but I think you can make it without paying all those fees.
Right.
Let's get a hold of what the problem is and stop the bleeding and then go forward. And like I said, it's just respecting the money and looking at how much money you're spending. And it's just stopping it and saying, okay, I got to get off this ride, And look, I have full disclosure. I think not even a month ago, I ended up paying an overdraft fee because I transferred money and messed it up. I was working and didn't do it. And I was like, oh Lord, and one fee, but I do not believe in paying overdraft. I will go out or I just can't do it.
Right.
We're gonna figure something out.
Right.
And I was just transferring money and I did the wrong transfer to the wrong bank. And I said, okay, and I could have called the bank and asked them to waive it or whatever. But I said, no, I'm gonna take that because I'm gonna learn. I'll bet you won't do that again. And it's $35, but it's still $35.
I need my $35.
Us for a couple of days over here, So people don't think about it, but I really try to get people away from those overdrafts. They are expensive, and I really, 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 don't. It goes in the same thing with late fees,
right?
Just really be conscious of what you're paying and all the extra money. And I thank God I'm at a place now that I can put my bills on auto pay, but I was not always there.
You better say it again,
right? But auto pay but look, I had to pay the bill anyway, so I'm gonna pay auto pay so I don't have those late fees because mine ain't necessarily that I don't have the money. It's necessarily that
I'm busy.
I gotta pay. I forgot to pay that bill, and they get you.
Wake up in the middle of the night. Oh my God! It is the 17th, and that was due. Yeah,
So now everything is on auto pay, and look, everybody's not ready for that. I get it, but here's the other part: you're gonna pay those bills, so you might as well put them on auto pay. And once you get used to it, it doesn't bother you, And I know I get my bill every month. I know how much it is. I know when I get paid. I know when it comes out, and you can schedule them. You don't have to. Just whenever the due date, you can schedule them. So I really challenge, and most of my clients that I have, that's the first thing I go do. I start putting everything on auto pay because they're going to pay the bill. And some people are like, oh no, I can't afford that. Well, if I force you to, some kind of way, everything goes through. And look, again, full disclosure, the last bill I put on auto pay was my cable bill, my internet and cable bill. And I was like, I just have to pay that when I can pay it. But finally, I was like, wait a minute, I paid these late fees, and I finally did it. And now I be forgetting about it. I'm like, oh, yeah, it came through. But the money was there, so you worry about the money not being there.
It's so much about the control of the fact that y'all just get ready to come in here and take it. I'm like, nah, I don't want I don't want y'all to just come in here and take it. I want to give
that money
I want to give it to you.
I ain't ready to give it to y'all.
Yeah.
And I had this one guy I worked for, he had a lot of money. And he would always tell me, pay my bills on time, but don't pay them early. And I'd be like, what? He was like, don't pay him early, but pay him on time. Because he just did not want to depart with his money early, but he wanted his bills paid on time.
Yeah, y'all get it when y'all supposed to.
Oh, my Lord. So thank God for auto pay came into play. Like, here, it goes by the due date. He got the money, but he just didn't want to give them their money early. And he meant that.
I feel that. And everybody comes to it on their own journey. So there is absolutely no judgment in it because we all have our journey to be able to get there. Yeah. However, a lot of that journey comes with a mindset and the mindset shifts. So while we're saying, okay, these are the things that you don't want to do, if people have, I guess, a not so great relationship with money, what are some things that you can suggest that they do so that it doesn't overflow into their business?
Number, be honest with yourself and figure out why you don't have a great relationship with money. And it just really be honest with yourself and say, I struggled as a kid. We were always broke. I am scared to death to go broke. And listen, there are a lot of people out there, and look, I got to the point in my life where I remember just one day saying, I do not want to worry about paying my basic bills every month. Like, why should I worry about that? I am smart. I work every day. I shouldn't have to worry about my basic bills. What is the problem? And I had to make some sacrifices and delay gratification by paying my bills first. And I got on that where I didn't do anything when I got paid. The first thing I did is pay my bills. And here's the other thing, like I'm saying, looking at things, I write things down. I kept a journal of my bills, and I knew my bills every month. And when I got paid, okay, what's due? I would pay them first. And here's the thing that's going to happen: you're going to find out really quick that you don't make enough money to pay your bills. So you're gonna have to do something. Either you got to lower your bills or you got to make more money.
Money, yeah.
That choice is here. Um, and then you're gonna figure out, oh, I do make enough money, and this is how much money I have after I pay my bills. But where is this money going? And after I got through the process of paying my bills, and that is not a problem, then I went to my savings goal. And that was a bill to me because that's my mentality. Is like, just like I paid a light bill and the mortgage and everything else, I'm paying my savings. And some people say pay yourself first, whatever you want to use, but I just put savings. So every month when I pay my bills, so much money goes to savings. And look, anything works. It don't have to be some grandiose amount. If it's $5, and here's the other, and I'm like I said, I'm full disclosure. So when I first started out, and I had a kid, I was young, I had a son, I was struggling. When I figured out this whole overdraft crap and got over it, my next thing was like, I do not want to be negative next payday, and I don't want to be over, I want to have some money. So I started with, I got to figure out a way to have at least $50 when I get paid next week. And I did. And when I got to $50, I didn't have any more money. I had to figure it out. I go to my parents' house and eat. Whatever I need to do, I ain't going nowhere because I ain't got no stress till I get paid, So I got to the point where I at least had $50 in my account, and it's small chunks. And that, the way that felt to me is better than making that sunglass purchase. Oh, I am not overdrawn from payday. Oh, I'm so happy. And then it went to having $100. And then it went to the point where I was like, okay, I want $1,000 when I get paid. So I still have $1,000 here that my bank account would not go below $1,000. And look, with my business owners now, you can tell that that's all their mentality. If their bank account gets below a certain amount, they start wigging out. And I'll know, like if I'm checking, I'm like, uh-oh, his account is below $50,000. To be calling me tomorrow, So imagine that. Imagine your life where you're like, if it gets below 50,000 or if it gets below 200,000. And that's where you're built. But it's the same mentality of that $5.
Right.
It's that same thing where if you can maintain where I have $5 at payday, then when you get your business is growing, you're going to be like, well, I can't go below 50,000 because I know that's what I need to cover payroll. Right. And normally I'll give that number to a client of what, hey, that bank account go below 50, we're going to have some problems. Okay. Because you got to have payroll every 2 weeks. So we got to keep that up. So that's how, when I mean relationship with money is going to translate into your business. Because as you grow, you got to be good about your money. Because if you're not, you're going to still be in the same slump. And I see it. I'm not trying to throw anybody in the bus. So I don't know who's going to see this podcast. So I don't want to call out any clients. But I know the clients that are going to struggle with their business because they don't have good money habits. And I can tell, I'll give some advice, but it doesn't matter if you don't want it. They have to want it. So if they come to me and they want it, like, okay, Twyla, why am I still broke? I'm like, oh, I'm so happy you asked.
Let me tell you.
I've been waiting on you to ask me,
Right. I think that's a lot of times that is the benefit of being able to surround yourself with some people that I guess whenever you're ready to hear it, that you have the ability for people to be around you. And I'll say one of the best things that happened to me, and it's something super duper simple, is outside of my other savings, was my sister shared with me this 100 days method. And some people do the envelopes and all that kind of stuff. So I figured out how to make it work for myself. And so that 100 days method was a way for me to be able to save additional money, but it made me look at what I was spending my money on. So if I didn't have if I'm doing, I don't know, $1 a day and it's, day 60, and I got to put $60 that day, and I'm getting ready to go over here and buy something, I'm like, whoa, that's my $60 that I got to put over here for what I'm saving. So I think the key is like having someone like you to be in their corner, to be able to share the information in hopes that whenever either they receive it right then or being able to receive it at some point.
Yeah. And I've had to give some advice when they're not asking me for it because I see it coming. But what I normally will do is I'm kind of a soft approach with it. And like you said, we can just talk. And the kind of accountant I am, normally all my clients, we've had relationship, we've been together for a while, so I can kind of just say some things.
Mm-hmm.
So finally, I will get to the point where like, hey, if you don't stop, we're gonna have a problem. Or hey, if you don't stay out of Costco and Trader Joe's, I swear to God, you know.
My bad, my bad, my bad, my bad, my
Okay, back to
bad.
professionalism. Back to professional. I'm sorry, or whatever it is, Whataburger or McDonald's or Chipotle or whatever that I see those habits because I
Mm-hmm.
see them, and look here, they may not be aware of it, but I am, and I can look and say, like, I had a client come to me and he said, "Oh, I don't pay myself out the business. My business is barely making it. I want to get to the point where I can pay myself." I'm like, okay. So I look at his financials. I'm like, he's not paying himself, but he's spending $3,000 a month in DoorDash. So, so
I got all kind of problems with that because I don't trust people. I ain't finna let you bring me my food. But go
and
ahead.
I don't know what your car like. I don't know what's been in your car. No,
I don't
thank
know if you got
you.
no dog in it. I don't know what you're doing. So
Right.
y'all
I
keep
don't know
that. Go
dog
ahead.
hair
Yeah.
in my food, no cats, none of that. Yeah.
None of
But
that.
like, he's a single gentleman. He didn't, he was door dashing to death. And so, like I said, I won't be cold turkey, but I'm like, hey, you need to really cut your spending on DoorDash. Like, it's a lot. But when I tell him you're spending $3,000, you're spending $36,000 a year on DoorDash. That's a lot of money. That's
Mm-hmm.
a lot of money. And when you don't have any money, you wonder why. Those are some of the things, like, can you imagine? Let's just cut that in half. You could eat off of $1,800, $18,000 a year. I promise.
Promise.
Um,
And
so it's
cook
just,
that shit yourself.
yeah, or just find cheaper.
Go
Well,
go get it.
listen, he got assistants. Send your assistant to get you some food. But it was just quicker on his app to get his phone, boom, boom, boom. And look, the business is paying for it. You're not really looking at it. You don't realize how much that adds up until somebody like me comes in like,
Mm-hmm.
stop sign, craziness here. And I don't have
Mm-hmm.
a problem with DoorDash or any of that because I've had to do it when I'm busy, but it's
Mm-hmm.
not a habit. You know what I mean? And I'm well aware that $10 meal is going to cost me $30.
Right.
I'm really well aware. Do I want to pay $30 or do I want to take a break and go get this meal? And it depends on what's going on. And most like if it's in a client, I'm gonna charge it to the client. They pay for the $30.
Go get it. Go get it.
So yeah. So
All right.
that's that. So it's the late, and then another thing to do is what I call a spin fast. So right now, the hardest time to do it is in the fourth quarter. And sometimes you need, depending on, and right now with inflation and no more COVID money, I'm seeing a lot of people just really contract, get
Mm-hmm.
tight, and they're like, "Well, why am I not making no money?" I'm like, no, 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 you're on track, but you had COVID in there that made you think everything was blowing and going, just like interest rates. Like
Baby.
we got happy with 2%, and we're like, I can't buy no house at 2%. 2% is crazy. I'm not saying you pay 12, 13% in a house, but you're still gonna make those investments. We just have to get some back into reality a little bit. That
Mm-hmm.
was great.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that will come. I don't know. I don't think 2% interest rates will come back. It'll be nice, but I don't think it will. But I think 4%, maybe 5, whatever. But anyway, so I tell people to do a spin fast, and a spin fast means you do not spend money on anything but needs for a certain period of time. And all this advice does not matter if you're not ready to make those
Mm-hmm.
decisions. So
Mm-hmm.
when you're really ready to make some differences in your life, then you'll make those decisions, and you'll be amazed. Like I used to tell somebody that I've seen you when you broke live off of $60 a week. You did it then. You can do it now. Things have not changed.
Mm-hmm.
When you'll do things when you're pushed in a corner.
Okay.
So keep some of those same, I'm not saying starve or whatever, keep some of those same habits. But I notice when people come out of that, then they just go crazy and spin instead of just leveling it off. Look what they say all the time. I've been working hard. I deserve to buy myself something. Oh, I hear that all the time. Look, I'm guilty of it. I deserve this. I've been working so hard. I deserve this.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the thing I tell people, which I was so happy to do for myself. And I like to share it with people because I'm not doing better than anybody else. I have my same struggles as well. But when I bought my car this time around, I made a goal to myself that I wanted to buy my car with no car note. I didn't know what kind of car I was gonna get, but I knew I didn't want any car note. And then when I started looking at cars, them cars is high. I was like, oh Lord, this. And so, but I really buckled down and I saved the money and I bought my car cash. And that was the best feeling. And not only did I buy cash, the lady I bought the car from, I had to go to her bank to pay off her loan, and her bank wanted me to bring cash. So I had to go to my bank and bring all this cash with me. And I was carrying a little box. So they gave me a box at the bank because it wouldn't even fit in any envelopes or anything. So I had to carry this box to this other bank, pay off her loan. It was crazy, but it was a great exercise for me
Yeah.
because I did it. I saved the money. I worked my butt off and I paid off, and I don't have any regrets about my car. And now when I get ready to buy another car, I'm like, oh, well, I'm gonna do it again. And I didn't think I could do it because I've always had car notes my whole life. I'm like, I don't think I can do, and I didn't spend. It wasn't like a little cash car. I was like, I don't think I can do this, but it was a dream of mine to always just buy a car cash. And I was so happy, but it also showed me you can do what you really put your mind to.
Absolutely.
So don't think it's not you don't make enough money or you don't have enough money, because like I said, I got a $40,000 a year couple paying off their mortgage in 15 years. You can do it. Now I do tell people their house is hot. They don't go out, they have one car, but they have a Honda Accord. It's not a horrible car. Their house is not a horrible house. They eat in, and they happy. They not sad. you
Right.
know and they're savers. So, and they'll go out of the country, but they got the money. They're not worried about it. And
That's
and
the
they're
best.
living this life. And I see people who make 4 times as much as them, struggling to pay their mortgage, struggling to pay their bills. They can't go on vacation. They don't make enough money. And I'm like, life is short. You just got to get a handle on your money. And then it's not about how much you make. If you don't get anything else from me, it's not about how much you make. It's what you do with what you have. And I know I have some people who are religious, and I learned this too in churches that, there's a saying, I'm not real spiritual. I don't know the Bible really good, but it's like, if you expect God to bless you with more, you got to be faithful over what he already gave you.
Absolutely.
So if you can learn that concept, then you'll get more. It'll just abound to you, without you even knowing it. Like it just comes to you. So
Absolutely. Absolutely. That makes sense. And so we've been talking this whole time. We did not say the name of Twyla's business. It is Organized Accounting and Tax Services.
yeah.
And if you want to book a paid call with Twyla,
I'm not starting until November 1st because I have a deadline. So wait till November 1st if you want to book a call with me. But you can go to my website and send me a message or book a consultation through the website, which is organizedaccounting.com. Or you can always give me a call or text me. I'm a great texter. So my number is 832-640-7100. So you can always text me. So this has been great. I hope I helped somebody. That's all.
That somebody was me. Okay. So it don't matter. It don't matter about nobody else. I am so selfish with this whole thing. But before we get out of here, I didn't ask you this. I didn't prep you with this question, but I have watched you grow over the years. And one of the reasons why I finally came to the name of this podcast, which is called The Fruition Factor, and I like to talk to people that I know have a high fruition factor. What do you think is the reason why you have a high fruition factor with growing your business to where it is now?
Ooh. Okay. And I've been asked this. So the first thing that popped in my head when I said this, and this has nothing to do with money, but is not giving up. Because as entrepreneurs, you're going to be tested. You are going to be tested in this business. And I am so happy. And it's been a journey because I did give up a couple of times. But on this last part, I did not give up. And there was a point in this journey that I wanted to give up, and then still comes that way and grow. But don't give up and really understand. And I told this to Lamika that your business is going to evolve. When you start out, you have an idea of what you want to do, and you're going to do this. And I can tell you pretty much in every last one of my clients, what they started with and where they're at now is not the same. it's going to evolve, it's going to grow, and you just have to be open to change. And I think if you don't give up and you're just open to that and evolving, then you're going to be great. I mean, you're going to be just fine, and you're going to enjoy it. And you're going to be happy because it's a great journey. I mean, I don't sorry, I don't I was gonna say I don't have any regrets, but I'm thinking, do I have any regrets? I don't think so, because some of the lessons I've learned along the way. Even so, if I didn't have those things happen, I wouldn't learn the lesson.